Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy So, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of Fans.
A Dolphins post-game show where we recap the game and react along the way.
This week, we're breaking down the Week 13 victory against the Jets in overtime as the Dolphins keep their very, very, very slim hopes for the playoffs alive.
Make sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button, and most importantly, hit that notification bell so you get notified when we drop hits like this.
It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go!
Fans up in the building, rep the gear from toe to ceiling. 305 stays on the brim, by 95 we popping wheelies. On the way out to the rock, time to see the trio fly. OBJ, Tyreek, and Waddle, speed and swag solidifies. Tours Babby in the pocket, got my D coordinating. With the Weaver operating, on the sideline formulating. Strategizing for that dub, let's get A-Train on the track. Chubbs and Ramsey, Phillips healthy, boy, we bout to crack some backs. Time to change the narrative, F off with all due respect. Criticism at its finest, break the cycle down the stretch. Top dog offense in the league, let's keep it going postseason. Bring that heat in cold weather, that's a Dade County reason. Only fans, presented by Sports with So.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us as always as we break down this Week 13 victory against the Jets. Joel, it's good to see you, brother, but I don't know. I wish we were spanking these Jets instead of walking away with the overtime victory.
I mean, a win's a win, dog. Let's just start off by saying that. Congratulations to the team. They what are we 4-1 in our last 5 games? Is that the case?
Yes.
So that's the biggest positive. Obviously, overtime win. I think that was Tua's first overtime win as a Dolphin. And so, you got to be happy about that. But I understand where you're coming from. We're going to get into that. That feeling of confliction. Feeling a little like, damn. Why were we even in that position where we needed to take this game to overtime, against a team like the Jets that we've seen struggle all year? But again, a win's a win, dog. Got to be happy about that.
A win is a win. You know what I mean? And for sure, right? Especially inside that locker room. And that's what matters, right? Not your opinion, not my opinion, not any of the hardcore fans or any of the mad fans. Inside that locker room, these guys have a belief which continues to grow because obviously they're winning, right? And anytime that you're winning, you're keeping that hope alive. But like you mentioned, man, like what bothers me about a game like this is like we should have slapped this team up. At least been in a position where we're up 10 points into the third quarter, maybe into the fourth quarter, and it's not a question of how this game is going to be played out. On the contrary, what we got was a really long game, right? B, a game that had a lot of miscues back and forth, because every single time that either offense hit the field, they were either running it all the way down, getting a touchdown, getting a field goal, or punting the ball. There was just a lot of bad football, let's say. Bad football. And as a guy who's holding this Dolphins team to the standard they set last year, right? This is not the type of football that I'm expecting from the Dolphins. And it gives me a lot of worry that they won't be able to sustain this winning, not how they play, this winning streak for that much longer if they continue to play like this. I don't know if I'm being like too mean on these guys or too hard, but I don't know, man. That's the way it seemed on Sunday.
Well, let's break it down. Talking for the beginning of the game. We started off. Obviously, this is a division game, right? One of the first of 2 against the Jets. The Bills have already handed us 2 L's, so the only way to make up ground is we gotta beat the Jets, right? Especially coming off of a loss on Thanksgiving to the Packers. Now it really every loss is just that much more exponentially against us. So we got to make sure that we keep winning. Go out there, and I thought they started off the game pretty good, man. I thought they started off with pretty good tempo, scoring early, So I don't know. What did you think about the beginning?
I think that like we've seen the Dolphins have a lot of success when the first drive comes about because of the fact that more often than not, they're scripted plays, right? So you don't have to do a lot of adjustments. You kind of know what the base defense is going to be, and you attack it in that manner. 8-play drive, 70 yards, got the touchdown to A-Chan on a 2-yard run, which was great because in my mind, I'm thinking, Coño, we're going to see A-Chan have a great day today against this weak-ass defense. On the contrary, my man got 14 carries and was only able to muster 24 yards on that. Now, again, I don't know if this is a A-Chan thing, Terren Armstead leaving the game with an injury, having a rookie replace him in Patrick Paul. I don't know what is happening with the running game. But the fact that we go on week after week after week after week without seeing it flourish, or at least get an attempt to flourish, is worrisome. And I was feeling good after that drive, but then, just being who they are, come back down, score, and make it a 3-point game. And the reason why it's a 3-point game is because the guy that we've paid for consistency has not been able to be consistent this year, and that's Jason Sanders. He missed that extra point attempt, and I didn't know what the hell to think about this guy anymore, dog.
He redeemed himself. Let's foreshadow a little bit and say that he did redeem himself later on in the game. But yeah, early on, we scored that touchdown, like you said, a beautiful drive, and the expectation is just do your job, dog. Get that extra point in there. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a bad snap. I don't know if it was a bad hold. I think it all looked pretty kosher, and he just had a blip and it missed. But that's definitely another red flag, yet another red flag on the Jason Sanders island. You know what I mean? So I totally understand. When I saw that, I knew you were going to be livid.
For sure. And imagine the frustration from the team, right? Like, how do you kill that great momentum, that great energy, that great, spirit that you need to put out there by scoring on a touchdown on their first drive, and then you have it go to waste by not converting an extra point? These are little things, dude. Little things that real playoff contenders, real playoff teams that are dangerous in the playoffs, they don't miss or mess around with that type of shit. And if they do, they get it corrected. Go look at the Baltimore Ravens, right? And Justin Tucker. This whole thing is precipitated on everybody doing their job. And when somebody doesn't do their job in this offense, on this team, it gets magnified because of where we're at in this season, right? And then again, we score another field goal in the second quarter. Just scored a touchdown through Isaiah Davis, right? Who was taking over for Breece Hall. Him and Allen had a 1-2 combination, which was kind of productive. Those guys got 88 yards between them, or 80 yards between them. But we just traded tit for tat, and the offense wasn't really going anywhere. It would go into the Jets territory, and then we end up kicking a field goal. And same thing with the Jets. They would drive all the way into our territory, and then we'd stop them, or they would stop themselves and would have to kick a field goal. But at halftime, when the score is 13-15, right? In my mind, I'm thinking, coño, the Dolphins are really putting themselves in a tough position, because now, the Jets are going to get the ball. They're going to have an opportunity to build some real momentum into the second half. I don't know if we're going to be strong enough to respond to that. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. The Jets came out and scored a touchdown. Dolphins gave the ball back in 3 and out. And then boom, a little bit later to end the quarter, the Jets kick a field goal to go up 23-15. So a whole quarter where we're going back and forth and teams are at least putting points on the board, we go a whole quarter without being able to put at least 3 points on the board against a bad offense, a terrible defense. That team before Sunday's game, dog, was ranked 31st in total offense.
Yep.
And they went out there and put up 400 total offense on this defense. Like, these are things that are mind-blowing, dog. And then again, that leads us into having a pretty much do or die fourth quarter, where we got to not only make up the points that we lost, but we also got to put ourselves in a position to tie the game. And like you said, foreshadowing earlier, right? We were able to do so, but had it not been for that good fourth quarter from Tua and the rest of the offense, I don't know where we would have been, right? Because the defense was obviously not playing well on Sunday, dog. They weren't.
But it goes back to the offense too. Like you said, those 3 and outs, dog. With the offense that we have, bro, I get it. The Jets are a good defensive team, but they were out Sauce Gardner, which is their best cornerback. And the fact that we weren't able to exploit that a little bit more, knowing that there's a new guy coming in there, we should have had one of these guys. I mean, do you have any stat lines there for Tyreek or Waddle in this game? Because I know Waddle did pretty good. We found it, Tua found him across the middle a couple times, a couple slants and stuff like that, and kind of broken plays where he was open and stuff. What do you have for stats for them?
This was the best game they've had, Joel, since week 1
as a
together, as a duo. Week 1, all right? Tyreek Hill, 10 receptions, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, 14 targets. Jalen Waddle, 9 catches, 99 yards, 12 targets. Best production these guys have put up as a duo since week 1.
That's what we need.
That's
exactly what we need.
But look at what.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, at what expense is that coming, right? Tua, 33 of 47 for 331 yards with 2 touchdowns, an average of 7 yards per throw. And his longest completion that day was 21 yards. So yeah, the offense is working, it was moving, but it's not dangerous. It's not what we were seeing last year. And even these guys having that good of a day, it didn't even feel like they were dominating. To me, at least. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, definitely, bro. I definitely. I mean, they did do well. Obviously, at the end of the day, you look at that stat line for Waddle and Tyreek, they do well. Tua, obviously, he had another great game as well. 47 times throwing the ball. I mean, I hate that we can't give Achan 20 touches on the ground, and I don't mean like just overall, because I know he's getting those little dump off screens that we were doing early on, and then he
Right.
got blown up and ended up going to the tent or whatever.
Yeah.
And later on, we still brought it back and we tried it again. And I don't mind that. That's those are good little dump offs and stuff. But like traditional runs, I want him to have more runs, and then we can limit Tua and how many times he has to throw it. Man, it's way too many times. But he did look good. Tua looked sharp. He didn't look like he made a lot of mistakes yesterday. He looked like he was putting the ball where he needed to.
Yeah, for sure. We have to credit him for that, right? Not making a mistake is a big part of what he can bring to the table and what makes him elite. And yes, he did play good. The completion rate was good and all this stuff. But like I was telling the guys earlier today in the chat, that completion rate it should be at least 70% because we're not attacking downfield. He should be as accurate as he can be because we're not attacking downfield. Everything we saw on Sunday was little slants, little corner routes, little curls, a dump off to Achan, a dump off to Jonnu Smith in the middle, and that was it.
Well,
very basic offense. So yeah, he should be very accurate if we're gonna keep things simple. Now, if we're throwing down the field, all right, you can give him a little bit more of an excuse there, but not completing 70% of your passes when everything is 20 yards or under. Yeah, I expect that.
The other thing that was confusing to me, a guy that's been a big weapon for us, a top tight end right now in the league, Jonnu Smith, wasn't involved the entire game until overtime, where he got 3 catches. He had 3 targets, I believe, and 3 catches on the final drive. Yep. Two of them were the same exact play, little dump off a bubble screen where he pretty much got the 15 to 20 yards by himself, and then the touchdown in the end zone, which amazing pass by Tua, but an even better catch by Jonnu, creating separation and coming down with that ball, inbounds. So why not use that guy? That guy's been such an asset for us. I love that Waddle and Tyreek had their day, but why weren't we able to utilize Jonnu more and get him more looks throughout the regular, duration of the game and not just overtime?
I don't know, man, but it's one of my biggest takeaways when it comes to McDaniels, dog, because I feel like McDaniels is the one who should be the one figuring out how to put his guys in the best position possible. I'll give you an example, right? You mentioned Jonnu Smith. Yeah, it's good to have him blocking, but you didn't even target him that much outside the overtime. 1 target for 4 quarters for one of the guys who's been your best players over this nice stretch of games that you've been winning. One of the most dependable players, not dropping passes, doing every aspect of his job, and we give him 1 target. Meanwhile, we're throwing 19 to 23 times to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Seems like we're forcing that. And then at the same time, we only have 14 carries for Achan. It's like, all right, bro, where's the balance, right? Where's the offensive mastermind to say, yo, this isn't working, we're going to go this way. This isn't working, we're going to try to do. But throwing 47 times, you and I can both agree, that's not the recipe for success for this offense. And especially if we're going to just keep it short and not even try to attack teams downfield. That's my shit, bro. Because again, it leads back to McDaniels not being, in my opinion, right, flexible enough with his game plan. I mentioned in the last OnlyFans, I need him to be adjustable. I need him to be better at in-game adjustments, week-to-week adjustments, and just do a better job of that, because at some point he's gonna have to pay that price, and when it comes due, it's gonna be a heavy blow, right? Like, I don't know, maybe it's, let's say hypothetically we win the next 3 games and we head into that New York Jets game, and you can't adjust to the shit that we did from this week to that game, right? Because that team is gonna have all this tape on us to play that game in New York in the freezing cold, and it's gonna be windy. Yeah, how are you going to adjust for that? These next couple of weeks are pretty easy, right? Because we got the Houston Texans game, right, on the road, but hey, it's indoors, so not a problem. San Francisco's really hurt. playing bad football right now at the time. They're going to be coming to Miami, and then we got to travel to 2 cold weather places, right? With the season on the line, again, assuming that we can beat these 2 teams, and then have to do something that we haven't done before, right? Which is go out there and beat teams in cold weather. I don't know how we're going to do that. And when I look at what we did in this game to attack this opponent and try to figure out how our offense can be even more efficient or even better, nothing about Sunday can lead me to say we did a good enough job about it.
I mean, it's not even just.
I know I'm being hard, dog, but
no, I get it, dude. I get it. It's been a lot, bro. You know what I mean? And we can't just, that's why I say we gotta celebrate the win, as it comes. But it doesn't give you a whole lot of, confidence, frankly, moving forward, because, forget about the weather monkey that's on our back that we can't play in cold weather. It's more about can you beat a team with a winning record? And beating the Jets on Sunday in overtime, having to kick a field goal to tie up the game, to take it to overtime, to then win it in overtime against the Jets. It says more about you than it does about the Jets. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, like we couldn't handily win that game and really solidify after that game against Green Bay. Like, no, like we have a legitimate shot at playoffs. We squeak by again against a sub 500 team, and that's the monkey on our back. That is the biggest one. That's why, for me, man, I'm sorry I couldn't jump on the show last week for everybody that tuned in, but I wanted to talk to you about that. That game was so big. I think that if we win that Green Bay game, and I know I'm saying this with winning 4 of the last 5 games, but man, if we would have won that game in particular against Green Bay, that changes everything, because then that answers not only the call to, hey, these guys can't play in the cold weather. Yeah, we did. These guys can't play in prime time. Yeah, we did. These guys can't beat a team that's above 500. Yeah, we did. We didn't do that. We didn't do any of those things. We would have accomplished so much with a win there, and we didn't. You know what I mean? So with a win against the Jets, it doesn't give me a whole lot, but you did mention 2 teams coming up in the Texans and in the Niners. They're both kind of having their struggles this season, but arguably better teams than us. I mean, the record says it. And historically, it's recently you can see that they have better teams, better, at least I can say about San Fran, he's a better coach because our coach came from that tree. So it's a tall task, but that if we win these next 2 games, or not even, if the Texans is our next game, correct?
Right.
If we win that game, then I'll be more excited than I am about beating a struggling Jets team.
That's a big if, dog, because like you alluded to, that's a team that's above 500. Yeah, they're not playing as hot as they were last year or whatever, but again, a team that's above 500, currently at 8-6, right? And one of the teams that you're gonna have to, or excuse me, 8-5, one of the teams that you're gonna have to beat in order to keep solidifying your playoff position, right? We've always struggled against teams above 500. What is Mike McDaniels gonna do different? What are you gonna do different to get the most needed victory against this Houston Texans team? And just to kind of do a little prelude on that 49ers game, like you said, they've been a team that is stockpiled with talent, albeit a majority of it's hurt, right? We're not going to have to face McCaffrey and all that stuff, but that team can still win games. That defense can still win games.
So they might just linebacker in the league.
And they might just be 500 by the time they come down here, right? Because they can win on Sunday, just like we can win or lose on Sunday. So yeah, these games are not cakewalks just because the record may indicate that this team is struggling or not or whatever. That is not the case at all. This game right here against the Houston Texans is obviously it's the game, it's the season on the line. Yeah,
this is
100%.
This is a playoff game if you want one.
You had a chance to make this game a little bit easier on yourself by beating the Packers, but you didn't even show up to that game. You literally stayed in the fucking bus because you were freezing. So now you got to go out there and put everything on the line, put everybody out there, can't hold anything back in a game that you absolutely have to win on Sunday. It's this game against the Jets, against a team that is now 3-10, okay? 3-10, and we struggled and went all the way to overtime.
Let me ask you this.
Does not give me confidence against Houston.
Let me ask you this. We won the coin toss, and we elected to start on offense. If the Jets win that coin toss, do you think the outcome is different?
Absolutely. Jets win that toss in overtime, dog. and they go down there and kick a field goal because our defense, just like the Miami Hurricanes, wouldn't have been able to stop them. And they would have got close enough to field goal range and say, hey, buddy, come out here and kick this 35-yarder for the win. And then we end up losing that game 29-26. Just like we beat them, they could have easily have beaten us on Sunday, but they didn't because they are a much worse team than us. But the fact that we kept it close, albeit it's a divisional game, rivalry game, all of that, throw all that shit in there, all of those things included, we're still a much better football team than they are. And we couldn't even separate ourselves from them. We couldn't. Doesn't look good for Sunday, dog. It does not look good for Sunday. And I'll tell you this, Joe Mixon didn't play this past weekend, right? Because I'm sure they're trying to keep him healthy.
They had a bye week.
They had a bye week. And right.
So the whole team is going to be rested.
Rested. Watching us play against the Jets to be like, oh, Konya, look where we can attack them. Look where the weak spots are. We can beat this team at home. And they need to win. Because I think if they win, let me look at the standings one more time.
They have a three-headed monster on their offense, bro, between CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, and Joe Mixon. Bro, I don't know how we contain that, bro.
If they win, I think they lock up the division, right? Because Indianapolis is still under 500. So Houston definitely wants and needs this game, just like we do. But they have more to lose than we do.
Yeah,
they have more to lose than we do. As a matter, it's just a plain old fact, dog. So how are the Dolphins?
I don't know. I don't know that. I think we have more to lose.
Chico, we're not playing. We're playing for playoff hope. But guess what? That doesn't necessarily mean that jobs are on the line right now. Yeah, you and I can talk about it, right? Where Greer stands, where does McDaniel stands, where does Tua stand, right? Tyreek Hill, all these guys. But we know one thing: all those guys got paid. All those guys are going to be here at least. Right by the time the season is over, at the very least, by the time the season is over, that's all we got to lose, making the playoffs. That's it. Nobody's getting fired. We're not going down to a draft. Nothing. These guys have a division title on the line, back-to-back division titles that they could win. You don't think they want that? Hell yeah, they do. Because guess what? If we were in that division, we would be going after it too. So
they want it. I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm just saying if they don't, it doesn't happen against us, there's still a chance for them. Whereas if we don't win this game, there goes any chance we have of the playoffs. Is why I say this. I mean, they got to play like it. They got to play every single game like it's their life depends on it, dog. Plain and simple.
That's it. That's all.
If you care, if you really care, because that whole narrative that came out recently about the team being soft and all that. You can't help but, think that when you see some of these games, bro. And I know they're out there fighting their ass off. You know what I mean? They're coming in there. They're going to work. Are we, faulting the players too much? Is it the scheme that's not working? Like, should we be pointing the finger at somebody else? What is it?
I think that, and I forgot who was the NFL player that said, I think it was either Ryan Clark or Channing Crowder that I was listening to. And they said that a lot of the NFL teams, not in college, in NFL locker rooms, teams take on the identities of their coach. If the coach is a rah-rah guy, the team is going to be a rah-rah guy. If the coach is an offensive guru, the team is going to be offensive-minded, defensive-minded, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mike McDaniels, by all accounts and purposes, does not show off, exude, look like anything that says tough-nosed football. Tough, scrappy, nothing about him and his demeanor, how he acts, how he talks, nothing suggests toughness. Now, I'm not saying he has to come out here and beat Dan Campbell and fucking break podiums and slam a guy, right, to show that he's tough. I'm not saying that, but you can be that way in the sense like Mike Tomlin is, right? You never see Mike Tomlin getting out of character. You never see him talking crazy in the media or even in the locker room. Staying steady approach, toughness.
But that guy's too hip hop.
I get it. But you get my point, right? Like he is tough without having to say he's tough.
I would love Mike Tomlin, bro. I would love Mike Tomlin. I can't believe we fumbled the bag on that.
And I'm just using him as an example because there are other coaches that give off that vibe. The two Harbaugh coaches, you know what I'm saying? The dude out in San Francisco, like the dude out in Houston. There are plenty of coaches, offensive minded and defensive minded, that give off that toughness. We do not give off that toughness because if players are saying it, seeing it, reporting it, former and active, then it has to be true. And I don't know how you change that if you're Mike McDaniels. That's his job. How do you figure that shit out? I don't know. But they're not paying me to figure that out.
Nah.
And he has
They're
to
not
do
paying
it
you at
quickly.
all, buddy.
but what I will say is that he has to figure it out quickly, because how else do you change that quote unquote narrative, which I'm starting to hate that word, but how else do you change that narrative that you are soft? And it doesn't mean that everybody on the 53-man roster is soft and you can go up and take their cookies.
Right.
If you see them in public, that's not
Right.
what they mean. And that means that when it comes to the game of football and fighting in the trenches and being able to exert some type of energy that you do not have, you find a way to pull it out. You find a way to find that strength and that will to do whatever it takes, right? I don't know if we have enough players to say that we have a locker room full of those guys, or even.
All right, so let me ask you, I got two questions for you. Number one, do you know if we have, as of right now, I know it's early on in the week and things can happen throughout the week, but is there anybody that's officially out for this week that might be a concern?
Let's see. I'm going to look at the report right now for this preview. Give me 1 second.
All right, and while you look that up, I can go asking you my other question, which is if we have any chance of beating Houston, we're on the road, right? We're playing Houston at Houston.
Correct.
What would you say would be the three biggest things that we need to do in order to have a chance at winning the game?
First things first, we can't let Stroud get outside the pocket. It's historically documented that the Dolphins defense struggles against mobile quarterbacks who can throw downfield while extending plays. That's exactly what Stroud is. So if we can't bring him down the first time, if we don't find a way to keep him inside the pocket, we are going to get torched. Second, how do you combat that? By running the ball and keeping time of possession. Are we going to see that? Probably not. I don't think that McDaniels is going to adjust enough to say, you know what, let me go ahead and run the football against these guys, regardless of where they stand on defense, because we need to establish some type of running game, some type of time of possession, and keep Stroud and that offense off the field. Third, somebody on defense is going to have to make a fucking play. I think we're bottom three as far as takeaways in the NFL. Our leader in interceptions is Jalen Ramsey, and he has two. So yeah, that's the third thing. Find a way to take away the ball, because if we can't take away the ball, there's a good chance that we're not going to be able to stop them on defense. So those are the three biggest takeaways for me as far as Sundays go, right? Like, can we throw the ball? For sure. Can we get Waddle and Hill involved and Jonnu Smith? Of course, we've seen it happen over these past 4 or 5 weeks. What about everything else? That's the biggest thing. And as far as injuries go, to flip back to that, Bradley Chubb is still on the pup. I don't think he's coming back this year, and I think that's the right move. Anthony Walker Jr., linebacker, is questionable. He went out early in middle of that game, I think in the third quarter. He's been one of our best defensive players, big time impact player when it comes to tackling, right? Like I was saying, open field tackles. This dude is the man at that. And another big one is Raheem Mostert. He continues to be questionable. I don't know if he's gonna play. It seems to be like an injury that's really bothering his foot, and now to go to Houston and play on turf because it's not real grass. Like, I don't know if they're gonna risk it. But back to my second point, we need the running game by any means. We have all these guys in the running back room, and none of them are getting a fair shot at it. We're not running the ball enough. We're not effective with it. And the reason we're not effective with it is because we abandon it, and we try to use the throwing game to make up for the short game, because our quarterback is really good at throwing between 5 to 12 yards. And I hate to say it like that because it sounds like I'm shitting on Tua, but it's not, man. It's just the reality of where the offense is at the moment. The offense is extremely limited at the moment for all types of reasons. And I don't know how they're going to be able to fix that. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I do know that if we don't, our defense is only, I mean, I don't even know, man, because we have some good guys on that defense, man.
We do.
We're playing, even lower level than we did a couple years ago. You know what I mean? Or even at the beginning of the season, I feel like we had a pretty good defensive scheme. I don't know if people just figured it out now through film and all that stuff, but Houston's high powered, dog. If it's not through the air when Nico Collins is a big body receiver, you know what I mean, then they're going to put it on the ground and run it on us. And that's what I'm really worried about is Joe Mixon rushing for over 100 yards on us, just pounding the ball over and over again, and then faking it, and then boom, now they can throw it over the top to Nico. They got a really good offense, man. Really good coach too. And their defense, their defense is pretty solid. So we gotta come ready to play on Sunday.
There can't be any mistakes. There can't be a slow start. There can't be any of that, man. Because if we get down 14-zip to these guys,
it's a wrap.
Kiss the season goodbye. The season goodbye.
I agree.
Let's see. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully something happens and this Dolphins season really changes by them, doing some things that we haven't seen this year. Things that will help them be the big threat that they were heading into the playoffs last year. One thing's for certain, bro, and I'm probably in the minority when it comes to this, but I am not trying to stumble into the playoffs. I am not trying to backdoor into the playoffs. I'm not trying to depend on 6 other teams winning, losing, kicking this. I'm not trying to do none of that. Either we make it on our own merit by winning every single game, and looking good while we do that, or don't even make the playoffs because we know what the fuck is going to happen. Ass kicking that none of us are going to enjoy to a much better team in the playoffs. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm only worried about Houston this Sunday.
One game at a time. I like your approach.
One game at a time, baby.
I like your approach.
That's all we can do.
Man. Let's see. Sunday, 1:00 game against Houston in Houston. Keep an eye out on the injury report, like Joel mentioned. In my opinion, Anthony Walker is going to be a big time game time decision whether or not he plays. We're going to need him, and of course, the return of Monster is always welcome. Always welcome.
One last thing from me: if you made it to your fantasy football playoffs, congratulations. If you did not, better luck next year. And good luck to everybody that's in the playoffs.
Why you gotta mention that? I need Burrow to go off tonight and score like 50-something points.
It could happen. Hey,
it could happen. It could happen, especially with that guy, man. But we're gonna clock out of here. We're gonna get ready for Monday Night Football. We hope you enjoyed this ride with us for this Dolphins Jets OnlyFans episode. Looking forward to that game against Houston. You guys know what to do. You got to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend.
To tell everybody they know.
That my dog Joel has the hardest Dolphins jacket you ever seen in your life. And we're going to keep rocking OnlyFans until the end of the season because that's what we do, man. Win, lose, or draw, we rock with the Dolphins. Sometimes we want to hug them. Sometimes we want to kick them in the butt. But either way, we're Dolphins till we die, just like you guys. Until next time, peace.